In the quiet Moravian town of Freiburg, amidst the rolling hills of the Austrian Empire, a child was born in 1856 who would forever alter our understanding of ourselves. His name was Sigmund Freud. His family, like many Jews of the era, faced the shifting tides of opportunity and prejudice, and soon moved to the bustling imperial capital, Vienna. This city of music, art, and intellectual ferment would become the backdrop for a revolution not of the streets, but of the mind. Vienna was a city of dreams, and young Freud was a brilliant student. He entered the University of Vienna at 17, drawn not to psychology, which didn't exist as a formal discipline, but to medicine. He was a scientist at heart, fascinated by the intricate workings of the nervous system, spending countless hours in the laboratory, dissecting the brains of eels, searching for physical clues to the mysteries of life. But the answers he sought were not to be found under a microscope. The turning point came in 1885. Freud, now a young physician, traveled to Paris to study under the famed neurologist Jean-Martin Charcot. At the Salpêtrière Hospital, he witnessed something that defied conventional medicine. Charcot was treating patients with hysteria, a condition of paralysis, convulsions, and anxieties with no apparent physical cause. Through hypnosis, Charcot could make these symptoms appear and disappear. For Freud, it was a revelation. The cause of suffering was not always in the body. It could be hidden, locked away within the mind. Returning to Vienna, Freud began to explore this uncharted territory. He abandoned hypnosis, finding it unreliable, and instead developed a new method, the talking cure. He encouraged his patients to speak freely, to say whatever came to mind, no matter how trivial or embarrassing. He listened, not just to their words, but to the slips of the tongue, the hesitations, the stories they told from their sleep. He believed these were messages from a hidden part of the self, a vast, submerged continent he would call the unconscious. The year 1900 marked a seismic event in intellectual history. Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams, a book he considered his masterpiece. In it, he argued that dreams were not random nonsense, but the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. They were disguised fulfillments of repressed wishes, intricate puzzles that, when deciphered, revealed the deepest conflicts and desires of the dreamer. The book was met mostly with silence and scorn from the scientific community, but for a small group of followers, it was a work of genius. From this core insight, Freud began to map the architecture of the psyche. He proposed a dynamic model of personality, a constant struggle between three powerful forces. There was the ID, the primal, instinctual force of our desires, seeking immediate gratification. There was the superego, the internalized voice of society and parents, our moral conscience, laden with guilt and shame. And caught between them was the ego, the conscious self, struggling to mediate, to navigate the demands of reality while placating the warring factions within. This internal drama, he argued, was the source of our anxieties, our neuroses, our humanity. As his ideas gained traction, a circle of brilliant thinkers gathered around him, forming the Vienna Psychoanalytic Society. Among them was a charismatic Swiss psychiatrist named Carl Jung, whom Freud saw as his crown prince, the heir apparent who would carry psychoanalysis into the future. For a time, their collaboration was electric, a meeting of two powerful minds. But their friendship was not destined to last. Jung grew to reject Freud's intense focus on childhood sexuality as the primary driver of the psyche. He was drawn to mythology, religion, and a concept he called the collective unconscious. The rift was deep and personal. Their split in 1913 was a painful schism that would divide the psychoanalytic movement for decades to come. Freud, ever the Stoic, continued his work, refining his theories, writing prolifically, and analyzing patients from his famous consulting room at Berggasse 19. The couch, a gift from a grateful patient, became a symbol of his practice, a space where the hidden stories of a lifetime could finally be spoken. He weathered the cataclysm of the First World War and the loss of a beloved daughter, channeling his grief into profound meditations on life and death. But a darker storm was gathering over Europe. In 1938, the shadows of Nazism fell across Austria. As a prominent Jewish intellectual and the founder of a Jewish science, Freud was in grave danger. His books were burned, his daughter Anna was interrogated by the Gestapo, and escape seemed impossible. It was only through the determined intervention of influential friends and patients that the ailing, 82-year-old Freud was finally allowed to leave. He took his family, his antiquities, and his revolutionary ideas into exile. His final destination was London. In a quiet house in Hampstead, he tried to recreate a semblance of his Viennese life, seeing patients and writing his final works. But years of heavy cigar smoking had led to a painful jaw cancer, and he was in constant agony. On September 23, 1939, as the world tipped into another global war, the architect of the unconscious asked his doctor to end his suffering. Sigmund Freud died, but his inquiry into the human mind had just begun. He gave us a new language to speak about our inner lives, a language of ego and ID, of repression and the unconscious. Whether we see him as a brilliant scientist or a masterful storyteller, one thing is certain. After Freud, we could never again see ourselves in quite the same way. Thanks for watching.